Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
Paying all three.
Dr. Dennis has reports about Caridad, Beto, and Leah. She wants justice for all three, and it looks like she will not get
Christmas
any.
episode.
The pressure of this job weighs greatly on Dr. Dennis.
I had to work on Christmas to make sure it came in.
Talking about justice. Why are the jails packed with these vile pedophiles? Our children are good, sweet children. They go to schools that need repair. They live on an island riddled with litter. The gun crime rate is sky high. They are being preyed upon by good, upstanding looking people in the community from all walks of life. They are not safe in their homes. They're not safe at school. They're not safe at their activities. They are not safe. And then too many people don't believe them. It's as though keeping up an appearance is all that matters. I came here to help, and sometimes I just don't know. Yes, caller.
What going on with you, my son?
I'm not in the mood today. My sound system is just fine.
For once, I was going to say, you realize it's live, right? Everybody across the island just hear all of what you had to say.
Yes, I wanted them to hear.
Well, that was a lot. You ever have any good stories come out of all of this?
I have near stories, Sammy. I get an account, we get a police report, the Attorney General gets an allegation with evidence, they don't get convicted. My client doesn't get justice. I know how important this is. These children will grow up, and like me, they will always have that one thing following them. It will manifest in eating disorders, anxiety, depression. Let's not start talking about relationship issues. I don't want it to happen to another person. And you know what helps? Belief. Parents will say, yes, I believe you. And too often, it's just not there.
Dr. Dennis, this is not the time for you to give up, because there's another child, man or woman out here that you're helping, and you don't even know.
Thank you, Sammy. I really needed to hear that right now.
Yes, this work continues. If Dr. Dennis stops, if you stop, what would I do? Silence will continue unchecked, and you can't let that happen. I came to be broken.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you or someone you know has been sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse. The Women's Coalition of St. Croix presents Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
I need to talk to you.
Not now. I'm practicing for the pageant.
Tamara's mother wouldn't let you go over to their house.
I can't stand her anyway.
And Jara, and Michelle, and Carla. On Facebook, Michelle's mother was talking about having to protect their daughters from loose influences. Are they talking about you?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Pictures of you at a party with alcohol, with boys.
I like boys. How is that a problem?
People are talking.
Well, people don't talk about what they need to talk about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I kissed a few boys, and there are pictures to prove it. So what?
I don't know what's wrong with you. Accusing your father? Now this? It's all over Facebook and Instagram.
Well, whatever. You get it. I'm the bad girl. I am. I am bad. You have a beautiful, genius, bad daughter.
You can't stay here. This community is too small. I can't take this anymore.
Good. I don't want to stay here either. I'm calling Auntie Lyra back home. She'll come get me. I like her better than you anyways.
The pressure to find understanding can manifest in promiscuity and anger. The confusion of roles, behavior, and crime combine in a volatile mix that can further damage a child victim's sexual abuse. Teens are curious about sexuality, and when they find out on their own terms, their reactions are seldom like this.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you or someone you know has been sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse. The Women's Coalition of St. Croix presents Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
Today we meet Cisco Vega, Milagros' ex and father of a second child. He's an avid gardener.
Good morning, sweet Quilton. Beautiful oleander. Grow, grow, grow. You need some fertilizing, I see. How about some classical music, eh? Or better yet, some Santana. Oyeko Boba. Adios, Rio. That man's so stupid.
You have to go with me. You have to talk.
Don't put your hands on me. Go with you, loco. I'm not going anywhere. What's wrong with you?
You want to do this here then?
If you want to get a proper beat down in my yard, that's your choice. I haven't done anything to you.
It's what you do to Beto.
What do you mean? What happened to Beto?
What? You acting like you don't know? That's worse. I gonna kill you.
For something I don't even know about? Twister, don't be dumb. I love Milagros. Why would I make her suffer for doing something to Beto?
It's your kind of do this heck.
Somebody molest Beto? Oh my God, no, Winston. You're accusing me of... What? No, you deserve a beat down for that.
You really don't know?
Winston, I go there to see my daughter. How many long now? Who have anything bad to say about me except SSSR? I like man, not little boys. Who? Beto say it was me?
No, I just
assume.
Sick people of any sexual orientation abuse children. It's not only unfair, but wrong to make an assumption of child abuse based on who a person is. Remember, when an incident arises, let the proper authorities deal with it. The victims need their families free to help them recover, and justice comes in many forms.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you or someone you know has been sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse.
Welcome to the After Show, Let's Talk About It, a live call-in talk show to continue discussing the weekly episodes of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse presented by the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. The stories are fiction based on fact. I'm your host, and today with us we have Sharon George, community activist and thriver. The call-in number for the show, 773-3636, that's 773-FM. If you would like to send a question or a comment because you're not comfortable with your voice being on air or would like to remain anonymous, please send us a private message on Facebook at the m.me/WCSTX. That's m.me/WCSTX. And we heard 3 episodes today, 17, 18, and 19, so we're going to have a little discussion. But we want to welcome Miss Sharon George. And thank her so very, very much for coming, and her bravery, the things that she's done in the community and otherwise is so phenomenal. Thank you so much, Sharon, for taking time out of your really, really, really hectic schedule, especially after this season.
Yes. You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
Not a problem. And I hope everybody was safe over the week, the Christmas holiday season, festival season, and all the rest of it. I know that we had some incidents that took place, but I hope that everybody remains safe. So, Sharon, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know what this is about, you know, why I asked you to come, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, because I know you do a lot of other things. So we want to get a little bit about you so that everybody knows who we're talking to with your amazing self.
Oh, I'm honored. As the subject matter is at hand, I'm a survivor of incest. I was molested from age 8 to age 12 by my father. It was hard for me because my father is a well-known person. So to come out with something like this, not even my brothers believed me. Except for one brother, because he was often many times at night, whether he's going to the bathroom or for a drink of water, he would notice my dad going in or coming out of my room. But who would question your parents?
Right.
You know? So I told my younger brother, I told him first, and he said, I don't believe you, and you better don't tell anybody that. So I kept it to myself, and eventually I told my older brother, and he believed me right away. He says, let's tell mommy, you know. And when I told her, what she said was, I'm not going to leave you home alone anymore. She said, I don't know what's wrong with that man. But one of the things that she said that kept me silent yet a bit longer was, what goes on in the home stays in the home. So eventually I told a teacher, my 4th grade teacher, we're very close friends to this day, and she believed me. What happened was, one night my mom still left me home, and I didn't want to be home alone while my dad was there. So I just went for a walk in the neighborhood, ended up in Campo Rico, and she was like, what are you doing here at 12 o'clock in the morning? And I told her. She didn't say anything, and it went on like that for a number of years. I remember when I was 25 years old, I was at her house, and she was asking me, what about your dad? And I just started going off. And she just stopped. She said, Sharon, I am so sorry. She said, I was a young teacher. She was about probably 19, 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
She said, I did not know what to do. You know, she believed in me then, but she didn't know what to do. So I'm very pleased to see that now that they're going into the schools, you know, teaching good touches, bad touches. You know, it wasn't there for me at that time, but now, you know, it's being taught and children are learning.
Right.
What is, because I didn't know what was a good touch or a bad touch. It just didn't feel comfortable.
Right.
You know? So, when I left home at 18, and I did not speak to my dad for many years. And unless there was a family crisis where I would have to, you know, at least let him know. When my brother died, when my other brother, my mom got in a really bad accident. So that was 94 when my brother died, and then 98 when my mom died. So, you know, and then after my mom died, he started to come around and want to bring things for my children. I'm like, we need to have a conversation. He never admitted to it. I remember writing him a letter, and he completely denied it. Funny thing how life presents itself. In 2011, he got very sick, and guess who had to take care of him until he died a few months ago. And then he still never acknowledged it. He never said he was sorry. You know, he tried to convince me it was all in my mind.
Oh, wow.
It was hard in the beginning having to deal with him, because, you know, he's a Christian, what they call a preacher man. So he just wants to, you know, give me that truth about his salvation and how he can share it with me. You know, but I stood my ground. I think I did what maybe society expected of me, to take care of my elder. And I did it. You know, it was not a big thing. It was not.
I could imagine. I could imagine that it wouldn't be easy to have to take care of somebody who had hurt you. So in growing up then, what was the greatest challenge that you faced? You talked about not being believed and stuff like that, but how on your day-to-day, what was the greatest challenge that you faced and the greatest fear that you had?
I often hear sometimes that we, the victims, ask for it. But what I think, and in my experience, although there was no actual sex penetration, but I believe because of incidents that happened, and I recall everything, he was grooming me for that day. You know, whether it's fondling or, you know, little words here and there. And it's not open, the conversation is not open, was not open then, like it is now. You know, you can see those red flags.
Right.
And people are going to listen to you now, where they did not do that then. Yeah. I became a teenage mother at age 16. I would think that, you know, those things, I would contribute to that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How has it how did it impact the way you saw yourself? You know, having going through that and to live through that. I mean, you said you became a teenage mother at 16. So, and you're saying that a lot of that habit, how to put it, did it break down what you thought of yourself or what you thought you could achieve?
Oh yes, certainly. Because if your support system has broken down, where you don't get that encouragement, that push that you need at that age, it certainly does have an impact. You know, you don't believe in yourself.
Right.
I can do this. I can become this person. Yes.
All right. And did it affect how you had any relationships? Your relationships with other, even to intimate relationships?
Yeah, my children's father, I remember he was one of the other persons I told, and he said to me, he said, that's not right. He's not supposed to, you know, tell him you're going to do this and tell him you're going to do him that. But yet, when he and I started living together, he always threw it in my face.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
So even though he know it wasn't right, he still used it as a tactic. And that in itself can be painful, and that's something that we haven't really talked about much, but we're going to talk about it in a little bit. So what did you do to get yourself some help to help you heal? Because it must have taken a lot of healing to look after the person that abused you, you know, because I could imagine how many times you just, you know, we hear about it, take the pillow, you know, and just forget to take it off the face kind of thing, you know. I mean, and a lot of times it's painful. You know, you're looking after somebody who hurt you, and then they're trying to justify their actions. You know, that must have been hard. So what did you do to help you heal?
Well, I saw an ad. I think I was about maybe 25 years old, and it spoke about going to the Women's Coalition. They have meetings for survivors of incest. And I just called the number in the ad, and they faxed me the information, different questions to ask, to answer the questionnaire. And I went. I remember I stopped by a minister friend, an elder too, that used to stay at our home, and I told him that I'm going for therapy. And he said, you don't need to do that.
Oh my.
Just let us pray with you. I'm like, huh? No. And I just jumped in my car and I headed to St. Dunstan's. And we just sat on a bench because someone didn't leave the key.
Oh my.
And we just sat on a bench out in the night, and I cried. Oh my gosh, I cried. But I didn't give up. The times I didn't even have transportation. I bum ride from Frederickston to Christmas. You know? Yeah, but took years of therapy. to bring me where I am today. Yeah. I still get that little flutter in my stomach sometimes, especially if I read in the newspaper and then there's an article.
Yes.
Recently, I was chaperoning a child to therapy, and it turns out he's a survivor, and but I didn't know. So I think the little girl, I had to close my eyes, okay. You know, but they didn't get into anything deep. Yeah, but I've learned to speak to her and tell her it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. You know, we're gonna get through it, or they're gonna get through it. You know, because there is help now.
Right.
Yeah. There's help now.
And we're glad that there's help now. So I'll ask you our miracle question for everybody. If you had one wish for the community when it came to a solution to this problem, what would it be?
I know, speaking out.
Okay.
And not being afraid, because what I have learned is that they never stop.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Every opportunity, you know, so there were times where I never let my children around their grandfather, and people would say, oh, he's an old man now. They don't ever stop. They're going to keep at every child that they can get. And once that child remains silent, once the adults remain silent, it's going to continue because they turn a blind eye. Or, you know, because of shame. But you have to learn to face your shame.
True.
Because you're not the only one.
Right, right.
From coming out, I have found so many people that have experienced that. And one of the things that really caused my brother, the one that didn't believe me, he had moved to St. Thomas, and we learned that it's a generational thing in my family.
Oh, wow.
It happened to my cousins. And they too didn't know what to do. But when they went to college and they started hearing, you know, this is not normal. You can speak up. And they came back to St. Thomas to save their younger siblings, you know, sisters.
We don't really think about the fact that as much information as is out there, there's still a lot of people who still don't feel comfortable with it. And like you said, it's generational, and then they come back. But it's to how many people, if for you, it took you getting to be an adult and your brother going to St. Thomas and finding out, we don't know how many other people in between there because nobody believed. And even though your older brother believed and your mother seemed to have believed too, I guess a lot of it has to do with not knowing what to do. You know, like the information is definitely there now. I mean, that's the reason why we're doing this, because the information is there now. But then it leaves you to wonder how many people didn't know what to do. And then it may seem like you didn't do anything, or, you know, you couldn't do anything, or you just allowed it to continue to happen. And that whole, what happens in the family stays in the family. The whole, you know, people gonna look at us funny. You know, you don't want that kind of stigma around it. A lot of that, and we wonder. Well, actually, we don't wonder, because now we're starting to see a lot of adults who went through it as children, you know, that, like you, waited quite a number of years before they got to the point where they were able to get help. And they still, even after they got help, like you said, they see something on the television, they read something, and it still brings up all of that. And it's still painful. You know, it takes a long time to completely recover, even being able to talk about it. And I commend you. Brilliant, brave to do that. But a lot of people still aren't able to, and they're afraid because they still think that nobody's going to believe them.
Yes, that certainly is a big part. The stigma is the biggest of all, because, you know, I remember once I was in a taxi bus, and there was a a case going on in the courts. And as we drove by, everybody kept pointing, that's the house, that's the man that raped his daughters, you know. So, you know, things like that, and I think it's an ongoing thing. I can't say there is no light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, but we have to keep speaking about it.
Yes.
We have to. And we just can't stop. And education. We need to find out what causes this. And the men too need to come forward.
Yes.
But they're afraid because of not just the stigma, but how people are going to look at them.
Right.
You know, we need to know what, I never found out, we have never found out why this have come through generations in my paternal family as far as I know. What caused that? I know it happened to, my grandfather did it to my brother, my father's sisters, at least 2.
Oh, wow.
And then him and his other brother did it to their children. But they're not speaking. They're not saying, well, what happened, what they experienced while they were growing up. So, you know, we need to find, they need to feel open. And I know it's because of, they're probably sometimes afraid of going to jail. Sometimes it's a cultural thing where they think it's okay. I remember he didn't quote the scripture. He just said, the Bible says that a father is supposed to take his virgins.
I'm not sure which Bible that is.
I don't know what Bible, I don't know what scripture. That minister friend, he promised me, I'll find it for you, because that's not what it says.
No, it's not. It's not what it says at all.
He never came and told me, you know, and he and I were friends for years until he passed away.
Yeah, the excuses that they use, I mean, it's the control tactic. You know, they use the thing that they think gives you the most strength, and that's what abuse on a whole. I'm really annoyed at the fact that, you know, all Christians look bad now because there's a lot of people that use the Bible to justify their nonsense, which is really annoying, you know. And then they stop you from even wanting to start to do the research. You know, a lot of people on a lot of issues, they just don't want to do the research. A lot of people don't read into it, and then they just take it at face value. And one of the things that you said is that it then becomes kind of normal. So it's happening. The teacher that was 19 knew something was wrong, didn't know what to do, so it continued for you until it started to feel normal enough that at 16 you got pregnant. You know, because at this point in time, and I think a lot of times in the community, we don't look at the fact that the grooming is not just for the person. It becomes a family grooming. It becomes a community grooming. You know, and once you start to feel that, okay, from 8 to 12, that's a long time. 4 years is a long time. I mean, there are some people who it's been longer, but that's still a long time for somebody to constantly be making you feel uncomfortable. After a while, you just start to expect it because nothing's happening. You know, and so then, like you said, with your children's father, he was all, oh, that's wrong. But then it gets thrown back. And a lot of people do that in a lot of different ways, and it's unfortunate because that causes silence. It causes you to not say anything, you know, because if somebody's going to throw it back in my face when at first they're telling me, oh, that's wrong, it should have never happened, but then you're telling me it's my fault that it did happen, or you're using different phrases like that, then what am I supposed to believe? I already feel bad. You know, I couldn't help myself. So maybe, you know, and that's something that I hear a lot. Maybe I did something. Maybe it was me, you know, and unfortunately that comes up, you know. But you brought up an interesting thing, is how does it come through the generations, you know, and we don't talk about boys getting molested. We don't talk about them getting molested a lot at all. You try to figure out where did they learn the behavior pattern, who told them that this was okay.
Yeah.
You know, and why did it stay okay? And we know that it stayed okay because of the silence. You know, because if nobody tells me it's wrong and I keep doing it and nothing happens to me, then I'd no longer become afraid of going to jail.
Yeah.
You know, there's no consequence to my action whatsoever.
I remember another teacher, in my business English teacher in high school, they were teaching us how to fill applications. And whenever it came to put in information about my dad, I would just put NA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she knew our family very well. So she took my work to my mom to show her. She says, I know your family, so I know NA doesn't apply. And she says, like, I'm losing my students. So she was asking my mom, like,